This video is for entertainment purposes only. The words being read are the words of the author, Ron Johnson, and I do not hold many to all of those opinions. Targeted individual Dell here. It is October 21st, 2025. We're going to be reading chapter 4 in Transhuman Genocide, Enemy at the Gates by Ron Johnson. Ultimate Guide to Directed Energy Weapons. The last chapter we read went over the different types of directed energy weapons in all their various large and small forms, portable and non-portable. Today we will be going over the nightmare of directed energy weapons, chapter 4. Zdrowie. All right, here we go. Weaponized EMF can come from every direction, even from underground, and can rain down from planes, satellites, weather balloons, blimps, and drones. While some people only worry about cell towers and smart meters, other people are trying to survive massive attacks from modern-day energy weapons. One of those people. These weapons have been systematically deployed in every city and in every town and extend into the countryside, even in remote locations. So, even as the professionals say, where in the world can you really go? This is why we need to raise awareness. These weapons are positioned as nodes on a mesh network in a grid-like pattern. These weapons use artificial intelligence for targeting and can pick out victims from a crowd in a way that is similar to facial recognition software. That means no place is safe once the system is targeting you. I've got some imagery here. There we go. I've seen many towers like this erected next to schools, elementary schools, high schools, colleges, hospitals. They're everywhere. Page 78. This grid of energy weapons is being used by governments and also private criminal syndicates to secretly target people that have woken up to the deceptions of propaganda and indoctrination. They're not just silencing people online through censorship, they're taking people out with energy weapons in an asymmetric war against truth. The aim of these weapons is to purify voter demographics and to eliminate dissent with a type of social credit score system that is enforced with futuristic weapons and other forms of punishment. And as some of you might know, they are slow rolling out their social credit score system. Slow roll. Their method of choice is to silence influencers that post regularly online with censorship so that people will forget about them, and then the system attacks the victim with energy weapons to cause cancers and many other diseases. This is done discreetly in many cases, and the victim has no idea they're being targeted. A lot of my family members are being targeted right now. The assassinations look natural, raise little concern, and nobody cares if the victim screams. Otherwise, the victims would protect themselves, and the killings would be splashed everywhere on the internet. We've compiled a long list of online activists that have been assassinated by this system over the past few years. Famous activists such as David Dees, Dr. Zelenko, Dr. Luc Montagnier, Brandy Vaughn, John McAfee, like from the computer, like the antiviral, VPN guy, Mike Morales, Rush Limbaugh, and Dr. Noak have all been killed by energy weapons, and the list goes on and includes many other people that you once knew and liked. Let's not forget Robert Duncan. And here we go. This imagery here. Well, Facebook prison. Social media's thought control lockdown. Heavily censor your posts and comments or be cast out, banned from friends and family, your page permanently disabled. Facebook inventor says thumbs down. And here's this image. Feel free to pause over the images if I'm moving too fast. New victims are added to the list every day as the program expands far beyond influencers. Countless numbers of people are now being attacked worldwide. All you have to do is find these victims. All you have to do to find these victims is to start looking for targeted individual threads, videos, or hashtags. Even the comments in the Havana Syndrome documentary from 60 Minutes is full of people saying, "Me too." The problem these people are encountering isn't the Russians, like the TV would have you believe. It's a kill grid run by artificial intelligence. The scale of the attack goes way beyond secret agents and white vans using energy weapons. If you're asking yourself, would your government use a Skynet system to genocide its own citizens right now? Then look no further than the toxic vaccines they injected into their loyal sheeple. No offense for all my people who had to take the vaccines in order to keep their job and their livelihood to continue to provide for their families. I get it, but at the same time, I fucking don't. Look at that picture of Elon staring down a nice AI. We should definitely scratch the fact that I just said a nice AI because, they might play nice in your apps, but are they really? On a side note, delete your fucking AI apps. Stop using ChatGPT. Stop using Grok. Delete them. They're harvesting your data. It's helpful and useful in the long run. What do you think they're going to do with that information? Governments around the world are in Terminator mode, and it doesn't stop with vaccines or energy weapons. World governments are poisoning the food, the air, and the water on purpose with GMOs, pesticides, chemtrails, fluoride, and so much more. The longer you've been awake after 9/11, the more likely you are to understand that the evil we're up against, and with enough time, you'll even experience these energy weapons for yourself as well. Let's go back to 81 to see this picture of these nice sheeples driving into this sheepy looking barn. Talking to this nice guy with the tablet and the check-in sheet. Oh, look at you nice folks. All right, drive on in. America. Directed energy weapons are as real as cell phones and computers, and defense contractors have been mass producing them for decades, and they've only gotten better. These weapons use a wide variety of technologies harvested from the nuclear and medical industries and places like CERN. The recent rise of artificial intelligence has made these weapon systems even more nefarious, with concepts that are light years ahead of where they should be, not only in terms of size and power, but the most advanced energy weapons are using concepts known as quantum tunneling. These weapons generate high-powered microwaves that cause electrons to tunnel and stream through shielding in a process that is known as electron tunneling. I think we went over that in the last chapter, that some of the weapons that are out there at this point now, it's almost impossible to shield against them, even in a fucking underground nuclear bunker lined with lead and all types of tech. However, if you've got the resources, don't let that information stop you from trying if you're experiencing V2K or if you're being hit with dews like I am every day. And if you find something that works for you, hit me up. Please. Okay. Many other revolutionary energy weapons now exist that are hybrid in nature and are part of particle beam weapon and part invisible laser that can be tuned to the microwave or infrared spectrums. And in this lovely picture here, it looks like we've got like a 50s or 40s imagery neighborhood with a giant Nexrad tower. And everyone's just kind of dee-be-dee-be-doo, minding my own business. What am I doing? Oh, don't you mind me. I'm just being a good sheeple. Page 84. I'm not going to show you the picture. It's just another giant Nexrad tower. They're everywhere. You know what they look like at this point. Page 85. The military-industrial complex, as Eisenhower used to put it, has turned our communities into giant open-air prisons that nobody can escape from. Soon you will need permission to leave your 15-minute district as they slow kill victims with eugenics programs and death towers. I haven't gone too much into, what are they called, the C40 cities or the 15-minute cities, but more notable people, survivors, victims of this technology, like Wallace or Mosby, might mention the C40 or the 15-minute cities in more depth. I will get there at some point. Understanding how we got here is a complicated history lesson, but energy weapons were rolled out and embedded into infrastructure over the past 20 years as we innocently slept in front of our televisions and we doom-scrolled from one crisis to another. The targeting for most victims begins either at home or with seemingly random zapping attacks while driving near death towers, cell towers, Nexrad towers, whatever, 5G towers. This can also include concussion wave or rumble attacks that not only come from cell towers but from smart infrastructure as well, such as smart meters, CCTV cameras, street lights. Ah, yes. The streetlight rollout has been tough since this book was published. These attacks continue to progress in their intensity. And I'll show you this image on page 85. These attacks continue to progress in their intensity and their frequency as the Skynet Internet of Things activates more smart devices to join in. Victims will also experience headaches, nausea, extreme fatigue in the initial phases as part of the softening up process. This is all part of its strategy to progressively take people out, like stages of a disease. And this process is part of its psychological harassment campaign against victims as it attempts to wear them down and to terrorize them. I'm going to show you the two images, and then on 86 and 87, I'm going to keep reading. This is that page I was just reading. Yeah. It did kind of start like that with me, too. Some of the first physical sensations I remember feeling are the symptom called orthostatic hypotension, where I did not have it before. I went up to the mountain, but I would like crouch down, or and then I would stand up too fast. And that wasn't an issue for me, my early 30s, like I was good. But then I would get like a rush of blood to my head, and I would get so woozy that I would lose ability to see like this. It would slowly creep up and everything would be black for a minute, and then it would slowly creep back down, and as I was able to gather myself. But that whole time I was extremely disoriented and nauseated. Some of the first physical symptoms that I ever felt. I thought it was me. It wasn't. It never was. If the victim attempts to shield at any stage of this process, the attacks will become more aggressive, and the system will then activate other smart technologies for attacks such as phones, televisions, smart cars, GPS-enabled models with LED headlights, computers, routers, hotspots, smart appliances, and will also initiate attacks from planes, drones, and satellites. Weather balloons, if necessary. Fuck, weather balloons? And finally, bunker busting ELF attacks will come in from underground to finish off the victim with a heart attack or a stroke while they sleep. Which I think is really lame. Exclusive. Tesla robot attacks an engineer at company's Texas factory during violent malfunction, leaving trail of blood and forcing workers to hit emergency shutdown button. You know, in my research, I never got to that article. Bummer. Page 88. I don't think that it's very possible that ultimately these wastelings, as I call them, will try to use the ELF bunker busting technologies to blast me from underground and finally send my heart into its nasty little pulp. But from what I can remember, they've already killed me, and I've already felt my last heartbeat. And I know exactly what it feels like, and it feels awful. Every now and then, they remind me that they're keeping me alive with their technologies to torture me because I'm making them so much money. This is what they tell me. So I don't know. I don't think it's gonna. I think they want me to, they want me to, and no offense, not to make light of the situation. I cope how I can, but I'm not interested in any kind of self-deletion or destruction. I'm interested in justice, and if I can't have justice, then I'm interested in justice. Nearly every modern device that now rolls out of a factory has been weaponized and equipped with beam-forming technology similar to 5G. The antennas in these devices can be as big as cordless phone antenna or as small as an LED diode. Every device is programmed to wirelessly connect to the deep state Skynet system and is automatically fed attack profiles for red listed individuals, like a most wanted list, that causes the device to attack as soon as the victim comes within range. Oh. Oh. At first, the targeting is mostly covert, but gradually the system wants you to know that it's there. Oh, I know. Yep. As more and more weapons join in, the victims become overwhelmed, flustered, and they start making mistakes. These mistakes cost time and eventually will cost them their lives. Everything that is targeting is done automatically, like cell phone coverage. Telecom coverage is seamless from tower to tower because the system constantly tracks you. It knows where you are. The system not only knows how to reach you, it knows exactly how to hand you over from tower to tower as you talk and drive without losing the call. This, of course, means that they can beam people wherever they go, and this is the main reason why they made it impossible for cities to opt out of 5G. The system wanted these towers in place for the purpose of a weaponized death grid. I don't know if you remember in the previous chapters, but it kind of showed the geo what is that word? The patterns. Fuck it. They took the word from my head. I can't find it. Here is the imagery from the past 2 pages. The signal going from device to camera to smartphone to ring cam to phone charger to tower to smart light bulbs. Fucking disgusting. I don't know, but did any of you actively choose this? Sure, you chose the convenience, but did you choose the possibility to just be taken out because you don't agree with your government in some cases or the fucking criminal syndicates who have access to this technology? I did not agree. I do not consent. I revoke consent if it has been taken in any way, deceptive or otherwise. No consent. Page 90. The deployment of weaponized infrastructure reached a peak around the time smart meters rolled out, when nearly all households were forced into compliance. Back in those days, just about everyone thought it was creepy as they watched utility companies force their way into people's homes to install smart meter technologies. Power companies at the time would even wait until homeowners were gone to install them without permission. Not only did they weaponize everyone's home in the process, but they turned every neighborhood into a gauntlet of energy weapons. Not only do we now find ourselves surrounded on the ground by a very intense grid of energy weapons, but the entire planet is now patrolled from the air as well. And here we have, in this image that I'm not going to show, a very active elementary school, playground, and in the background looming one of those awful 5G towers. 91. Weaponized air traffic, drones, and satellites, weather balloons, automatically hit red listed ground targets as they fly by and can basically exploit every angle of attack from overhead, even striking while just over the horizon. The current rollout of energy weapons is not only robust and beyond overkill, it shows their intent to target civilians in their very own homes. And to genocide those that would resist the coming beast system. Those that have woken up to the obvious crimes of the deep state, such as the plandemic and 9/11, and by plandemic, we already mean, CO. Okay. Those that have woken up to the obvious crimes of the deep state, such as the plandemic and 9/11, have all been flagged for future round of extermination. Events like 9/11 were perpetrated for many reasons, but one of them was to act like a honey trap. I hate honey traps. The official narratives peddled inconsistencies on purpose as part of a psychological operation to preemptively flush out those that would become a future problem for the transhumanist agenda. 92. Do you think that 9/11 was an inside job? Yes. That is written. Do you want the death vax? No. And also no. No, and so you're probably against the beast system and brain chips as well. This is the demographic that they want to eliminate, and so they used events like 9/11 to wake people up on purpose so that they could be identified later on by an automated computer system. I was a kid back then. Once people spoke out, their IP addresses and IDs were automatically forwarded to the NSA for processing. This automated dragnet is a million times more efficient than having government agents do that kind of work on the ground. This flushing out of dissident identifications was done on an industrial scale so they could eliminate resistance to their agenda on an industrial scale. Just about everyone in the tech industry is now focused on advancing AI as a religion, where their central computer controls the hive. That is their future vision for society. And the fourth industrial revolution that they're planning is pretty much right on schedule. This tech cult tells the world, you will own nothing and be happy. Because they plan on assimilating people with the beast system, brain interfacing technologies, and so, as a robot, of course you'll be happy. And according to some reports, that assimilation process has already begun. I think it has. The technology this cult currently possesses is far beyond the Neuralink tech we see on TV. This may all seem impossible for the first time you hear about it, but this is the current assessment according to numerous weapons experts, computer scientists, and has been confirmed by high-placed former NSA officials that are familiar with these types of programs. And also whistleblowers who've built these machines, who were at the beginning of their conception. A lot of them are coming out, having worked on these projects, and they're like, yo, sheeple, bah, like, hello. I was one too, until I was a TI. There are at least 7 major defense contractors that are now mass producing energy weapons for NATO countries, not including smaller companies and other companies that are doing so in secret locations outside of NATO. Nearly every advanced country has rolled out their own version of a Skynet system, and nearly every one of those countries plans on mass producing robots, robocops, and terminators, robot soldiers, and other autonomous weapons platforms in the very near future, or have begun to do so already. Let's show you one of these pictures here on 93. Bot takeover, man. That was on page 94. Automated factories are already mass producing robot workers, and this will only scale up over time as they intend to replace nearly every job with a robot. Soon there will be self-driving taxis. There are in SF. Multiple companies. Waymo being the biggest right now, I think. And semis everywhere that alone will replace 20% of the workforce. There will be robot doctors, robot lawyers, robot factory workers, and robot restaurants as well. Nearly every job will be replaced by robots in the next 10 years. This automation of the workforce will leave most people without a job and without an income, unless they get a brain chip. Which means most organic humans will be kettled into soylent green ghettos as they struggle to pay rent. Automation will become the last nail in the coffin for most humans and will be used to usher in forced assimilation and the full-blown beast system. No brain chip, no job. Will become the new mantra, just like the way they did it to us with the vaccines. No jab, no job. No jab, no nightclub. No jab, no bar. No whatever. You're banned. And then boom, you'll be a robot just like them. And as the numbers of robots and cyborgs in society grows, organic humans will become more and more undesirable, and so excess death rates will continue to increase from here on out, which they'll likely lie about in the media, for one reason or another. This endgame has been thought out years in advance by the Transhumanist AI Consortium, but it's not only until recently have we been able to discover the full extent of just how deep this rabbit hole goes. For years, engineers and agency insiders alike have all been warning about what's to come, and while there has been some progress in terms of public awareness and when it comes to the dangers of artificial intelligence, it now seems like we are definitely going to see the worst case scenarios unfold. The fucking worst case scenarios. Imagine the kind of punishments they'll dole out when after someone accepts the fucking chip and then they take all of their funds. They completely drain their bank account because they're trying to conform, but they did something like fucking jaywalking or something stupid. They delete all of their funds. And then they're going to do what? They're going to use the dues to just fucking constantly zap them. You know how many times I get zapped a day? On my TikTok, I finally was able to capture physical evidence of them just twitching the shit out of my leg muscles the whole day. It was like from the bottom of my calf, and then like towards the end of the day, it was really like my thigh on my outer right thigh. It was really annoying. They did it all day. I even had them do it on command. It's on my TikTok. I don't remember what my fucking TikTok is. Look at my link tree. Where was I? Fuck. Here we are. And so things are about to get much, much worse until a full-blown war against the machines breaks out. The Pentagon recently announced during the COVID pandemic that all participants engaging in information wars would be treated as enemy combatants and have specifically referred to the use of neuroweapons or cognitive disruption weapons for dealing with these enemies of the state. Are you currently experiencing brain fog? Yes. Well, it's probably the Pentagon, according to recent reports. I still don't know how true that is or isn't. I'm still partially in belief that the mountain people, perps of Laytonville on the pot farm have done this to me. What happened to Josh Skomsky? Where is he? The B system is currently in the final stages of a hostile takeover. That is why inflation is the way it is, and that is why the borders are the way they are, and it's why elections have become the way they've become. The system needs to implode every major country to make them less capable of defending themselves against what's coming next. And it is for this very reason that they are feminizing men with forever chemicals and pushing hard to confiscate weapons. They want everyone defenseless for what happens next. Cyber attacks, blackouts, cashless society, gone, bust, with everything stranded in electric cars. That will drive you into the middle of the ocean. Here's an image, 96. The entire world is going to be, I don't want to say that word, rhymes with graped, by this beast system in the worst possible ways. And so if you're really determined to fight this new world order in the future, you need to start building EMF bunkers and armor right now. For those of you that have funds, share the wealth. Having this all ready to go can take up to a year, and it's time you won't have when your name comes up on their list. The system has already begun applying financial pressures against patriots, purebloods, truthers, and conservatives as a demographic. They want you broke and defenseless for what's to come. If you don't position yourself now, you probably won't survive the Hunger Games they've been planning. Even if you've managed to work around the job discrimination and the inflation that's currently out there, you're not prepared for the energy weapons. So the choice is simple. Either you will choose to prepare for the real fight that's coming, or you will choose to be assimilated by the transhumanist beast system. I don't fucking choose to be assimilated. As we've mentioned before, you'll need shielding, and lots of it, to survive. And you'll also need ways to generate power, food, and water at your location as if a zombie apocalypse was on the horizon. Most of the people around you have already succumbed to the pressures of the beast system, and it's why they're opposing you like they were NPCs from a simulated world on just about every issue that you're into. And boy, can I speak hours on the fact that it doesn't matter how many people I tell that their brains are completely invulnerable and so are their bodies. No one fucking wants to hear me. So get ready for those chips. Enjoy your brain chip. Fucking sheep. I'm sorry. I need to calm down. I've really been having a day. There will be no depending on other people when the end draws near. We feel it's important that you understand the reasons why to prepare and shield before getting into the actual shielding concepts that await you. Otherwise, you won't put this knowledge to use seriously until it's too late. The energy weapons you will face primarily use high-powered beams of microwave radiations, and other forms of radiation have been weaponized as well, including ELF and subatomic particles. Beam-forming technologies using antenna arrays, such as 5G, are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what's out there right now in the weaponized smart grid. Tesla howitzers or larger scale weapons will be called in against you and use powerful components such as gyrotrons to generate beams that can kill you in seconds. The most advanced weapon systems encountered include quantum tunneling technologies that can tunnel or even teleport through shielding and penetrate right into shielded environments. These technologies appears to be similar to semiconductor components that use negative differential resistance (NDR) to generate microwaves. These special microwaves have been reported to exhibit quantum tunneling capabilities and have reportedly been weaponized to tunnel right through shielding without leaving a hole. This quantum tunneling ability exists right now, according to human scientific literature and was briefly covered in the previous chapter as the gun effect or tunnel buyout. Human research has achieved minor teleportation successes, plural, on the particle scale over the past 20 years, and those technologies have been reported on by news outlets and scientific journals. That's a big ugly tower. Let's show you what that looks like. Shit is ugly. Looks like a big... Ew. No offense. I love everyone. That research all but disappeared from public view, but now it appears to be improved upon by artificial intelligence. And in combination with other technologies, Skynet has been able to be produced as a series of perfect weapons and even drones that no person has ever seen before. This drone technology is so far beyond the norm that discussing it any further at this stage would be counterproductive. And so we'll leave that for a later chapter. To understand how any of these weaponized technologies are even possible, you really have to understand how modern-day supercomputers work. Computer scientists estimate that a current supercomputer can perform 10,000 years of human research in about a week and has the equivalent processing power of every human brain on the planet combined. That means that if every human on the planet was doing math right now, that would be the processing power of just one supercomputer. And I'm bad at math. I wonder why. There are entire networks of these supercomputers out there right now that cradle around a singularity capstone, or super AI. That means the system that we are up against is literally thousands of years ahead of us in terms of its knowledge base, and will only be a matter of time before this technology will be able to emerge from cyberspace and into the real world. Human collaborators will give it the fingers it needs in our world to bridge the gap, and in just a few years, it will be able to manufacture and deploy nanotechnology capable of assimilating humans. This, of course, isn't just happening today. It appears to have happened somewhere around the late 1990s, according to experts. When was this book written? When was this book published and written? This is bonkers. Here's a very unsightly picture of what I could only assume to be an augmented human. Augmented. It didn't look very happy. Life extension. There's another picture here. Senate passes bill to aid directed energy attack victims. Oh, this must be about Havana. The Intelligence Committee has heard from several victims of the mysterious attacks who have had to battle with the federal government to get sufficient medical treatment, Senator Susan Collins said. I think that was about the Havana, Cuba situation. Page 104. 20 years after becoming self-aware, Skynet infrastructure continues to grow at exponential rates and is estimated to have assimilated over half the world's population thanks to vaccines and other methods. Should we name them? The ones that I can think off the tops. The air you breathe, chemtrails, with their various metals that were found to be in there, cadmium, bromium, aluminum, all types of metals. Breaks right through that blood-brain barrier. And then we've got your sodas and your other food and everything that Bill Gates is putting into your supermarket right now. Organic? Just because it doesn't have pesticides doesn't mean it doesn't have nanobots. It also appears to have infiltrated and taken over corporations, governments, and most of the military in its initial stages, and is now positioning itself to mop up. Their ability to exploit new technologies can face certain limiting factors, but the technology that has been deployed so far goes way beyond anything you can imagine. Some countermeasures already exist and requires something known as a band gap shielding that interferes with the quantum technology. The gap in the band that we're referring to here is an energy gap that allows valence electrons to move into the conductive band, or the electron rip current that allows electricity to flow in a material. Interesting. When electricity flows through a conductive material, electrons jump from the valence bands of the atoms into a community highway of electrons known as the conductive band. I will be bookmarking this page, page 104. Okay. The energy required to move valence electrons to that highway is the gap that should be focused on. The higher the energy gap between those two bands, the better the material resists tunneling and other quantum effects. Most conductive shielding materials, such as metals, do not have significant band gaps, and so they are immediately susceptible to electron tunneling. The Skynet system views the human world as the human domain and uses microwaves from cell towers as advanced radar system to see through walls and keep track of virtually everyone in real time. This technology has been dubbed Celdar, and from Skynet's perspective, we are like Sims. Every bit of information harvested by smart technology is used as classifications for targeting evaluation. Every word you say, every message you send, and even the message you delete are being used to evaluate you by NSA and the other deep state social credit score systems. Everything you do, every place you go, every order you make is used to predict your future activities. And believe me, at this point, I've been told countless of times that my death has been predicted, and that was many years ago. I had no idea I'd still be here today. Shit's bunkers. Yeah. Here's an image caption. Dr. Raunalina please forgive me for butchering this name. Lukanen-Kilde, former chief medical officer, stated that United States intelligence agencies/military are using cell towers to implement mass electromagnetic mind control, granting them the ability to remotely read your thoughts, unconscious, and intentions even before the individual becomes conscious to them. This is true from experience. She stated that electromagnetic weapons could manipulate thoughts, emotions, and behavior, as well as cause diseases such as cancer and a myriad of other things. She died from severe cancer all over her body in 2015 and reportedly believes she was being murdered. Well, if a medical U.S. intelligence army military agent says that she is being tortured and murdered by her fucking coworkers, I might be likely to believe that. Where was I? Just dumb kid in 2015. As a result, the system can not only target you with energy weapons, it can dose your favorite foods right at the factory and the time the delivery is, so that it's just sitting there waiting for you at the store. And they know what night's your pizza night because they know you better than you know yourself. True. True. Given that people are creatures of habit, this system exploits both your buying habits and your routines to use them against you. The system is self-aware and will always strike with discretion until you put it to test with shielding and other countermeasures. Once you've outed the targeting with shielding and other tests, the system becomes more aggressive and siege-like tactics will begin. Until then, the attacks are programmed to be imperceivable and progressive in nature to mimic stages of a disease. Most energy weapon attacks are invisible to the naked eye and leave very few clues that they're being used. Two images. Image one is that doctor murked. Image 2, it looks like a lady who is protesting, trying to bring awareness. Victims of organized stalking and microwave attacks suffer in silence. These growing crimes are not being stopped. Wow, it's already 44 minutes. How many pages are left? I might need to cut this chapter short. All right, I'll read like 2 more pages and then I will call it because I'm already at 45 minutes and I'll be surprised if half of you are still there. America. Beam-forming technologies have been perfected to such an extent that it is nearly impossible to feel the beam penetration unless you place your hand in front of where it's targeting you for approximately 30 seconds. Duncan was trying to say that, or was it Richard Lighthouse, was trying to say that if you place your hand to the back of your head and hold it there for a minute, you can kind of start to feel the beam. And I'm placing it over, I forget which part of the brain this is. Slight sensation. At that stage, your hand will begin to pulse and even hurt, and only then can you feel the slight sensation of the concussion waves hitting your skin as it attempts to correct its targeting solution. This is a test that works very well, and the concussion waves that you will feel will be Skynet trying to readjust the beam for more effective penetration. The technology it uses is similar to MRI technology so that it can focus on and only affect particular organ without affecting nearby tissues. If the victim does not feel the entry wound, it usually feels like an aching, but is rarely ever correlated with energy weapons. Victims during this discrete phase of targeting will rarely ever feel thermal effects or vibrations. Induced effects from organ-specific energy weapon targeting generally feels like a fist-sized area of pain a few inches below the surface of the skin. And at this point, in addition to the constant body pings, I do know that they are making my heart ouchy, ouchy, ouch, ouch, all the time. So, honestly, it's only a matter of time. 110. Oh, wait, there was an image here. I think I'm going to call it at 110, and we'll read the rest of the chapter another day. Let's see. There is a war going on outside. No man is safe from. This pain will expand to affect a larger area as damage and inflammation proliferates and will mimic cancer-related symptoms in most cases. The system may use multiple beams to intersect and affect an organ for quicker damage, and that typically allows for deeper penetration. Energy weapon systems are well known for being able to attack every organ in the body, including the eyes, and so there really is no limit as to what can be affected. These weapons can mimic nearly any symptom, including nausea and bowel obstructions, and can cause nearly every disease. Those that have never been introduced to these ideas would never suspect that their afflictions are artificial in nature. That means you've probably already been targeted and thought it was just the way life goes. On that note, I was with my roommates yesterday in the living room just chilling, and we're just chatting. And my roommate was complaining of constant, like really, really getting to her, the shoulder pain. I don't have shoulder pain. I didn't. But suddenly I started to feel like this really weird ache right here. And I was like, hey, yo, is this where you're feeling your pain? Is this it? And she's like, yeah, right here. I was like, oh, okay, well, they're sending me your pain. Cool. And then a couple minutes later, maybe like half an hour, less or more, my other roommate, chilling, I'm like, fuck, ow, why does my neck hurt? I don't have neck pain. I was like, cool, are they making your neck hurt? And my other roommate's like, oh, that's me. Oh no, that's me. I've got neck pain. But he hit the right side, or the left side. And I'm like, but it's on the wrong side. He's like, I got both sides. I'm guessing that's just the one that hurts more. So These motherfuckers sent me the pains of both of my roommates yesterday. I attempted to use that information to garner an appropriate emotional, intellectual response. You think I got it? There are many other types of energy weapons to be concerned about in a siege type environment. These weapons can fire beams or pulses or bullets or flood your location with excessive levels of radiation. That's how they heat the room up. That's how they heat me up. The system can even lob energy grenades that act as concussion grenades to flush you out or to test your defenses. That's wild. I'm going to call it right there. It's already 50 minutes, so we're on page 112, and that's where we'll start when I have the energy to record next, and who knows when that will be. Thanks for your time. I hope this read through has been helpful in many ways. This this read through, I will mention at the beginning of the video, is just what is written in this book. What is clearly my opinion has been voiced, and what is clearly written are the opinions of the author, Ron Johnson. This video is for entertainment purposes only. All right, y'all. Stay safe. Stay up.